Hello everyone. This is Tobi from the Phuket Meditation Center, and you're listening to the Dharana Meditation Podcast. Let's sit together, calm the busy mind, and explore topics concerning character development, meditative training, and deeper self-knowledge.
Let's sit upright, suspend the head from above, and let your body be relaxed, soft, at ease. Take a few comfortable, pleasant breaths. As you're breathing in, let your awareness spread out inside of your body, feeling the entire body. And during the exhalation, notice how the body becomes a little bit more soft, a bit more relaxed. As following the nature of the out-breath, everything settling down. Receive yourself, this moment, with kindness, with compassion, allowing everything to be just the way it is. Operating from a state of acceptance and goodwill instead of control and being pushy, seeing yourself as a broken thing that must be fixed. keeping it very simple, breathing in, feeling, breathing out, softening, releasing, arriving. Let your attention hover around the object. The feeling of your body as you breathe in, the softening as you breathe out. Let it be almost casual, simply knowing that you're breathing in and there's the body, breathing out and there's a bit of softening going on. If you find yourself being very uptight, very tense, trying to focus, trying to not be distracted, and all these kind of things, acknowledge and then return to this simplicity. Just knowing the body as you breathe in, knowing the softening as you breathe out. Casual, gentle. See if you can find some things that you enjoy during this one breath. Counteracting the fault-finding mind that always pays attention to things that go wrong, that are not the way we want them to be. Finding things that you genuinely enjoy, little moments of release. Little moments of kindness. So think of one breath as one meditation session. One mindful breath is one meditation session. Let yourself become a bit more grounded in this breathing in feeling, breathing out softening thing. Just remaining around this topic, keeping it in mind. Now we train ourselves to be aware of where the attention is. The attention doesn't go to all that many places. It might go to a sound. It might go from sound to sound. It also may go to feelings, sensations in the body, moving from feeling to feeling. Also, it may go into the realm of thinking, becoming aware of thoughts and images, words, sentences. The key here is simply to know where the attention is right now. We're not controlling the attention to be in one particular place. But we do notice whenever it comes back to the breathing, feeling the body as you inhale and softening as you exhale. Let that be your center point. Notice how effortlessly your attention moves around. It's completely natural for it to move. The emphasis here is on the knowing where it is right now. Not on controlling. Understand that whatever happens, wherever your attention goes, is completely natural and normal. Your attention is not making mistakes. It's simply following its conditioning. whatever comes up in the mind is just as natural and normal. Everything that arises due to its causes and conditions. If there is a seed in the ground, and the condition of rain, and fertile soil, and sunlight are there, the plant will grow. Plant doesn't grow because there is some sort of self or ego that wants it to grow. It grows due to its causes and conditions. And your mind is no different. Whatever arises in it arises due to its seeds, its causes and conditions, simply following its nature. The key is to remain in the knowing rather than getting involved, becoming a doer, a manager, a coper. To rest as an observer of the mind and the senses is to liberate body and mind, to set them free of control, set them free of personal will. Let them come into a state of balance, of harmony, of rest. Furthermore, whatever arises also passes. Every little sensation arises and passes, following its nature. Every sound, every sight, every smell, every thought. So there is nothing to get rid of. Everything gets rid of itself. All is in a state of flux. All is process. Movement. Aliveness. Continuous change. There are no experiences. Instead, there's just a continuous flow of experiencing. No experiences, just experiencing. In your own time, you can slowly come back. You can open your eyes, maybe stretch a bit. Good morning. All right, first of all, apologies because last week we had a question from one of our listeners on the podcast, and I recorded the talk and then found out it didn't record, so let's go through it one more time, since I completely have forgotten what I was talking about last week anyway, so let's just give it another shot, another perspective. Right, so questions from Mel, and underneath the episode 409, which is about our true situation, she writes, just wondering what's next. How do we get out of the prison? Is it simply to see that we are and make changes according to that? Just wondering what's next. How do we get out of the prison? Is it simply to see what we are and make changes according to that? So the prison she refers here is basically the prison of conditioning. The fact that each and every one of us is entirely conditioned. Every single atom, every cell, every part of their being is a process that is rooted in the law of causality. So this is because that is. And if this is not, then that is not. That's a fundamental idea. So whatever you are currently thinking, how you are perceiving this moment, everything that you are doing, your intentions and everything is conditioned. We can clearly understand that. It's conditioned by your childhood, the way you've been brought up. It's conditioned by your culture. It's conditioned by our surrounding. So who we become is an outcome of many, many countless variables that are conditioning this body and mind continuously. So we can refer to this as a prison because within this reality, we are, our experiences and the way we perceive things, the way life appears to us, is completely conditioned. There is no personal choice in that. Not ultimately speaking. There is a personal choice, yes, but that personal choice exists relatively speaking. It exists in the relative realm. That where there is a Tobi and that there is someone else, there is all of you, we're in the room and we have decided to come to the class today, and then we decide to sit, then the class ends, you decide to have some lunch and so on. In this relative realm, we can grant that. Yes, you can make decisions. Yes, you're an individual and your actions and so on matter. Ultimately speaking, though, all of these decisions have their own specific causes. All I'm saying is that the cause is not an independently existing self. What a lot of people refer to as an ego or something like that. That there is no little guy sitting in your head doing life, owning life. Just as much as you do not grow your hair or make your heart beat or digest your food. Those are not activities that you would say, I do that. But the body is doing that. The body does it because, well, there's causes and conditions making it do that. One of the causes of digestion is the intake of food. One of the causes of the intake of food is what? It's hunger. Or the presence of food, the availability of it. Your ability to pay for it, and that having a job that allows you to pay for it. And so it's just countless causes and conditions that make these things happen, ultimately speaking. So we can say we're kind of like in a river, and being within that river, we are subject to that river's flow. The river goes fast, you go fast. The river goes slow, you go slow. There's a waterfall, you're going to fall. There's white water, you're going to be tossed around. That is not because you choose to be tossed around, obviously, right? You're not choosing to hurt. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody desires experiences that are painful and unpleasant. And yet, are you subject to pain and unpleasantness? Can you be broken? Can you experience horrible things? Are you capable of suffering? And we have to answer yes to that. If you're being honest with yourself. Many times it doesn't even take much for us to hurt. But some people, it only takes skipping lunch. And they already fall into a darkness and become angry and start annoying everyone around them and so on. Or not getting enough sleep or having had a bad dream. All of those experiences, you didn't choose them. And yet you're subjected to them. Here's another reason why I say it's like a prison. Like you're subjected to the prison guards. You're subjected to the gang activities. You're subjected to your cell. You don't really have freedom to choose. You can choose to walk around a bit within the prison if the other gang members allow you to, if the guards allow you to. So if the river is nice and calm, people often have this illusion of, I did that. I made my life incredibly nice. And they claim that calmness. They claim that beauty. They claim the goodness that is given to them. On the other side, when things go bad, oftentimes we do not want to claim it. So we blame other things outside of ourselves. We say, I'm feeling bad because of him or her. I'm feeling bad because it's white water. Who wouldn't feel bad in white water? So in a way, we are kind of a bit like victims at all the time. You're lucky if life treats you well. You're not if life doesn't. And whether life treats you well or not is not really in your hand, as much as the weather and the sea is not in the hand of the sailor. The sailor can merely sail, but his life is in the hand of the weather, of the sea, of the currents, actually. If there's no wind, what can the sailor do? If there's a brutal storm, what can the sailor do? He's going to be broken. He's going to drown. Unless the sea carries him, or the skills that he has acquired in his lifetime carry him. Also, those skills did not come from himself. They came from a good environment. So some people are perfectly able to cope with life's difficulties. Some people can manage them very well. That's good. That's a good thing. And this would be the very first thing that people should get good at, is first of all, do not create more suffering than necessary and abandon the causes of problems. Simple. Your life will get a bit better. You're managing well. It does not mean, however, that you're free from suffering, that you are incapable of suffering. If you're performing kind actions, if you're moved by compassion, you're caring, you're calm, you're patient, you have a lot of virtue, you have a good character, good morals, your life is going to be a bit more smooth due to the presence of those good qualities. Again, some people would want to claim them again. They say, well, life is good because I am very moral. No, life is good because of morality. That's enough. Life is good because of patience, not because I am patient. Simply because patience is present, your life is going to be less stressful. And because equanimity being present, your life is going to be more balanced. There's no need to claim these things. There's no need to say, I am kind, I am compassionate, and that's why things are awesome. Love, compassion, kindness. If there's a presence of love, things get better. Like if there's a presence of water, plants grow. It's fairly simple. But not perfect. You're still subject to pain. You can still be broken. You can still be tossed around just because you're within a very nice stretch of river right now where things are smooth. Does not mean that there is no waterfalls ahead anymore. Because we're talking about an infinite river. So there's infinite possibilities of white water and toxic water and hot water and cold water and so on. Still ahead. That's this prison idea, where we're imprisoned to this infinite river of conditioning. Now, given that, everybody that hears something like that and seriously reflects on this, they will eventually develop a desire to be free from that. So let's go to a bit of a higher ground, the second training, which is the training of meditation. The first training being the training of morality. Second training is meditation, which can be translated as to dealing with life's problems by withdrawing attention from all those things, by bringing attention within. instead of having your attention constantly be governed by the senses, by the external world. You bring your attention inside and you kind of escape the turbulence of the external world for a little while. And that's kind of a powerful thing, because within that inner silence, that's where you're gathering your strength. This is where you're gathering light, clarity, stability, groundedness. You gather that with meditation. All those are important skills to have. It's high-level coping, high-level managing. It's the perfection of morality. The pinnacle of morality is meditation. If you're entering meditation, not only are you not making any trouble anymore for yourself or others in that moment, you're also accessing the very source of happiness that exists within that inner silence, within that stillness. Kind of like deep sleep. You stop making trouble when you're in deep sleep. You're not even having any trouble in your dreams. You're just very quiet. And in that quietude, well, the body restores itself. It releases growth hormone. It repairs its cells, and so on. Like, deep sleep is healthy. If you don't have deep sleep, you will die. So meditation is a bit similar, you can say, in the sense that as you're in it, you're not producing harm, and you are benefiting from that deeper sphere of yourself. Now, the third way of coping, and that's how you get out of prison. That's all about getting out of the predicament that we're in, exiting the river, getting to the shore. That's why the first two trainings, they would not be complete if we're all just trying to be good people, if we're all just trying to abandon negative action, and if we're all practicing meditation and access inner peace. That is very good. It will create a much better world than it is right now. But it is not perfect in that you're still subject to conditioning. And conditions can radically change at any given moment. So you're still not free. You're in prison, but your conduct is really good. You have really good connections. You get the good food. You get the nice cell, the private cell. You get your own TV, own entertainment. You're kind of covered. Everything's good. That's because you have good morality, and you're having good behavior, and you're peaceful and happy. So life is good, but you're still in prison. You're still not really free. Still dependent on your senses, still depending on body and mind. So how do we get really out? How do we liberate ourselves from this prison? The only way out, since the prison is conditioning, the only way out has to be something that is unconditioned, that is not conditioned, that is not subject to change. How do we find that? Well, first of all, you find it by learning to practice meditation. It's meditation that allows you to see this very subtle element of yourself. You could even say it's what allows you to see your true self, to see your true face. But it's tricky. It's almost like me asking you right now, go have a look at your eyes. Look at your eyes right now. Can you? You cannot look at your eyes, right? Your eyes are not an object, but you're looking from your eyes. Yes? In that same way, it's the element that we're looking for here is the element that is looking. So in deeper meditation, that is what you seek out. You're seeking out that which is not an object, not a sense, not a mental activity, not psychological, not physiological. That is what transcends the body and mind. The body and mind are conditioned phenomena. They are the prison. That which is unconditioned is that which is outside of body and mind. And that which is outside of body and mind, now we can call it, for just simplicity's sake, let's call it awareness or pure awareness. And pure indicates not body and mind, liberated from body and mind. That is the purity of awareness. Otherwise, it's just awareness, not pure awareness. If it is awareness that is informed by the senses, that is drenched by body and mind, as it is right now for all of us, then that's not pure awareness. It's defiled awareness. That's what defilement really is. What defiles awareness is sense activity, mental activity, conditioning defiles awareness. So in order to encounter pure awareness, meaning the awareness that stands free, separate from body and mind, you have to transcend body and mind. Meditation is supposed to do that. It's meditation that gets you out of your senses, gets you out of body and mind. It gives you that higher view. And in that state, beyond the senses, beyond sound, sight, smell, taste, touch, and thought, that's where you can find pure awareness. And you will not find it as an object. You will not find it as like, there it is. That's pure awareness. That would indicate that you're still having objects. That what you are really seeing is just mental activity. You still have not transcended your mind yet. You're still forming concepts. You're still making assumptions. You're still trapped in the psychological realm. You may have given up all the other senses. Great. But you're still trapped in your mind. It's very, very subtle. It's very difficult to go into that area. It's a huge challenge. Why is it such a big challenge? Because basically everything is conditioning your senses to go out, your mind, your attention, to constantly go out, away from yourself, away from its source, constantly grasping at objects. That's why it's so challenging. And that's also the reason why the Buddha said that basically 100% of the path, the whole path, is in skillful friends. It's in wise camaraderie, noble friendship. Meaning it is to surround ourselves with those who are either aspiring to liberation or have attained it. And that's not a little feat. It's not like something that you can easily claim, as a lot of people do these days. A lot of people say, I'm awake. I've reached whatever kind of state of enlightenment or something like this. A lot of people talk of consciousness and awareness and all these kind of things, including myself. It's usually a lot of hot air. It definitely is in my case. It's really, really subtle and difficult to grasp. So what I can do, perhaps what we can do, is approach it. Make it a bit more of a priority in our lives. This is also the idea of those sessions. It's to remind ourselves of these important things. To prioritize liberation, to prioritize freedom, to prioritize happiness, the end of suffering. Even if it's just once a week, that's a good seed. And it is those seeds that eventually blossom into healing plants or a tree that gives you shadow from the burning sun of suffering. And the way to liberation is, I would say, if you just want one answer, associate with liberated people. Associate with the wise. For Buddhists, that would be the Sangha. It would be the community of practitioners. Ideally, what they call the Arya Sangha, or the Noble Sangha, meaning people who have attained, who have broken through, who are on the shore. That would be best. That would be the single answer. Just hang out with people who are free. Second best, associate yourself with the various causes of this path. Study, listen, associate with groups every now and then and so on, where you're reminded of those topics. Let your mind be infused by this. And more and more, you will tend to gravitate towards what is more meaningful in life. If you associate with people who are pursuing sense pleasures and who are busy fighting off pain that arises from their senses, then you're going to behave in the same way. You're going to be in pursuit of sense pleasures constantly, and that's going to block your progress for sure. So whether you are, consuming online content or something like this, try to make it meaningful so that it conditions your mind and your senses in a way that are leading towards the shore. So as a prisoner, it is associating with prisoners who are plotting to get out. And even better, associate with prisoners who've dug a tunnel already and who can simply show you this, enter this tunnel and you'll be free. All you need to do then is just enter the tunnel and be free. That's as simple as it gets. But it's not as simple actually, because you yourself actually do not want to exit prison, especially if you've got a really pleasant prison. If you're living in the golden cell, you will not want to give it up. So it's much more likely for people to come to meditation and spiritual practice when they're actually suffering in their lives, when things do not go well, when their sleep is not good, when they're hurting, when they're depressed, when they're traumatized, PTSD, all this kind of stuff. This is what draws people to question the prison. And then if they have no alternatives, I'd say that's a lot of people who are depressed these days are basically people who are understanding that they are in a prison, but they have no alternatives. They don't have a way out. They see how foul, how rotten society has become. They see how people struggle and fight. They have problems with money. They have problems with this and that. But they have no way out. It was certainly the case for myself. When I was a young guy, I was 18, I had no perspective. I wanted to take my life because of that. I had absolutely zero perspective. What to do with my life. Growing up with a congenital disorder, that puts me at risk of dying every given moment of my life. And then people telling you, you need to be good at school, you need to get a job, you need to get out into the world, and you need to live your life. And it never led to the end, the story. It always kind of stopped at, and then you get married, and then you have a good life. It never went further then, and then you have a happy end. No, it has to go further, right? Then you get old, then you get ill, then you lose everything you've worked your butt off for, and then you die. And because we're in prison, it's not even sure how you get ill when you get old. Alzheimer's, perhaps? Some freaking cancer that eats you up alive? That's what we're in for. But people never go there. They just tell you this, just go to school, just be successful, and stop. That's it. Like, make a lot of money, get a good wife, good husband. Life is beautiful, it's wonderful. So many possibilities. Yeah, it's half of the story. It's like having some sort of heavily toxic medicine, and there's just no how do you call this small print? The little information that they... Disclaimer. Like in American television when they go through the adverts for medication, and then they race through the disclaimers at the end. Why do they race? Like, everyone knows. Everyone feels deep down inside, what is this? Side effects may include liver failure and death. They read it so fast that hopefully you don't notice. But we put it there because we kind of have to. Yeah, that's how I felt. I read the fine print of life because of my upbringing, my disease. I was quite aware of the fine print, and the fine print to me was it was like in my face. So I had no interest in life. That's why I'm here today. That's why I went to the monastery, where things made sense for the very first time of my life. Where people were talking about the things that moved me, like, yeah, you're going to die. Or saying simple things like, what we all want is happiness. Nobody wants to suffer. We're all terrified of suffering. And yet we do not address this. It's like we just hope that things go okay. We have to address the fundamental problem, which is, it's not up to you. Suffering is not something you get to choose whether you have it or not. That would be freedom if that was the case. Then you can just choose to be free from suffering. Awesome. Done. We don't have to sit around and do meditation and practice morality and all that kind of difficult stuff. We can just choose to be free from suffering. Can you do that? Yeah, then we have to address that there is a shore, that you can get there, and there is causes that lead you to that shore, of which the primary is associate with the wise. Those on the shore. Pay attention to what they say, follow their words, something like that. And it's difficult because, man, the river is having so many promises. There's a lot of shiny stuff there. And it just floats by. And you're missing out. You're living this life of almost like a monk. People in the river, they will tell you, man, that sounds boring. Sitting meditation, being peaceful. What about your plans? What about all the fun that you could have? Don't you want to come back? I mean, that's what I struggle with. I guess you guys are similar. Why are we not working hard on this? Because we don't really get it. And there's so many promises in the river that keep us stuck there. That's why it's a prison. That's the reason why it's a prison. Getting out of that is not an easy task. It's not done with phrases like, just to be aware, just be yourself. It's not as simple as that. Because of conditioning. It's like telling a prisoner, well, just be outside. Just be free. Yeah. How? But there are a lot of deluded prisoners that love that. Because 1, I don't have to make any effort. That's awesome already. 2, I can just do nothing really and just imagine myself to be free. It will strike you that it's just an imagination when you begin to suffer real bad. Then your whole spiritual practice will be put to the test. This is what suffering does for spiritual practitioners, is putting it to the test. Is what you're doing efficient or not? Are you deluding yourself, or are you clear about what you do? That's why we need wise company to correct our errors and to have feedback from outside. All right. So that's all that comes to mind concerning this topic today. Are there any questions? Yes.
You say if we keep wise company, that's like the number one thing to do. But then you say there's all these deluded prisoners that are claiming to be free. So how do, like as a normal person, how do you decipher what company is actually wise?
Very good question. How do we decide who to follow? How do we know whether someone has actually reached the shore or not? Since it's a world of so many empty promises and so much delusion. My recommendation is, first of all, it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. It's lineage. Having a lineage of practitioners that practice within a particular spiritual tradition. And having a lineage means that you have an attained master who passes on to their students until that student becomes an attained master, passing on to their students, and so on. That's an unbroken lineage. So that's a good bet. It doesn't mean that you will find a master in the lineage. There is a lot of empty show going on within lineages where people without any attainment are celebrated as attained. Second, you need to look at the student. It's like when you go to a hotel that you've never been at, you check the reviews. So you need to look at the students. How do they behave? What values do they have? What do they experience in their practice? Is it in alignment with what is taught, or is it not? What about their conduct? The conduct gives a lot. So if you observe the conduct of both the master and the students, it can give you good feedback because the conduct of the noble ones is well described. They live often very simple lives. There is not much desire. They do a lot of practice. They don't want stuff. I remember a story of the late Sangharaja in Thailand, the head of the Sangha, the head of the monkhood in Thailand. He was living in the palace actually because very prestigious position. It's like the Pope of the Thai Sangha. So he's living at or in the palace, and upon his passing, they found his room, and in the room he just had a flashlight and his robes. That's it. He didn't have any personal possessions. Empty room. Same was true for Ajahn Chah. His room was basically empty. Only had the couple of possessions that the monks need, such as a kit to sew your robes when they get damaged, a water filter, like a bowl to beg for food. That's it. But empty room, completely empty room. Not like this one. So that's a good giveaway. What kind of lives do these masters and the students around them lead? And how do they behave, especially when under pressure, when things go wrong for them, when they get ill, when they get criticized and so on? How do they deal with that? And in order to really figure this out, you have to spend time. But the only way to spend time in a community that you have deemed is worthwhile spending time in and checking them out is because of lineage, because of the reputation that they have. That's how. Yeah. And of course, very importantly, if you do the practice, do you attain the results that are outlined, that you should be attaining? Okay, anything else? All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and had a meaningful time. For more information and upcoming events, head over to our website at phuket-meditation.com. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.